overall, we went through a whole lot of information this weekend. I mean, not even counting, the side stuff.
Yeah.
From today, yesterday, and I think we kind of said it, but if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to hear you say, which it would be, for you personally, what was your biggest takeaway from this? Something that either that it solved the problem, begin to solve the problem, or you can see into the future what it might do, but just your biggest takeaway.
Now having tools to know consistently where to go to express an emotion and be fairly sure and confident that it's going to land.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really struck by that because we look back, we were sort of hit or miss, and some of us got some things, but it was kind of like a low level.
Right.
And on this one, almost everybody was getting everything, and because they knew sort of which tool to use.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was phenomenal. I mean, just knowing that it's going to show up.
Yeah.
And that you can play with it, because obviously everyone's a little different, and some people had it at 1 or 2 and some were at 4 and 5 or whatever, but it was within the range.
Yeah.
So.
And even if it wasn't exactly, you knew that it was one reaction. It might not have been the exact reaction,
Right.
but it wasn't,
And any sort of ex-person that would come in who would view this last tape, they'd get it. They know what it was about. I mean, even if they didn't think it was spot on, they'd know absolutely what we were trying to express.
Yeah.
Whereas if they'd come in and seen us in the first lineup, yesterday morning,
Yeah.
that wouldn't have been the case. So I think that's pretty impressive.
And I think, and that what you're saying too is important in another way, which is, I know from a director and a casting director, if I don't have something to work with in the ballpark, if it's something that makes sense, I can't redirect it. I've had people do something and going, I don't know where to begin. So we would say, thanks.
Well,
Hey, that was good. That was interesting. So that it has to breed some confidence.
yes, it really does, and more certainty, like you know what you're going for, and also just the fascinating how everyone can take exactly the same material. We're all more or less doing exactly the same thing, but the flavor of our own personality, even though we may be putting on the same sort of emblematic thing or whatever you call it, but still all those shades of personality clearly come out. And I thought that was kind of cool too.
It's a good point. As I said, how you interpret it, uniquely you, right?
Even if you're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, and also your structure of your face, uniquely you. However, the emotional reactions are universal. That they'll all be recognized. And so, the shape you're saying, the shape of your face, everything that's on it, is coloring it. But yeah, I get the same message, but in a different way.
Right.
Kind of cool.
I have many takeaways. I want to thank you for this amazing weekend. What I really, really cherish about this weekend is that even as an actress, I always knew that there were just some emotions that even if I felt, I knew I wasn't showing.
Mm-hmm.
And it reflected not just only in like career life, but in like actual life, which is why I'm awful shy and reserved. So this has helped me recognize what muscles in my face I don't even use. And the emotions that they evoke, the emotions that have clearly been like either suppressed or I just don't want to deal with. But on top of that, it has also helped me to feel safe in expressing them, because I know what I look like when I'm expressing them. I know what I want the other person to know without having to use my words, with just being able to use my face and my body language. And that's something that I really feel like I haven't had in I don't know how long. So it's very special for me. And
Good.
I can't wait to run with this.
Take on what you're saying. If you take this one step further, you have the power or the knowledge to be a better person overall. And I'll tell you why. You begin to read what's on other people's faces. You begin to know a little bit more about them. And you don't have to immediately go to the assumption of something else. You can see somebody looking at you like they're judging you. Is that their static face? Is that their default face? They're going there. Are they going there to protect themselves? Is there any way that I can bypass that a moment so that I can get them to feel safer so that they can talk to me? And you can take the focus off of you and actually put it on somebody, because that face is what's been keeping you away from people. And knowing that about your own face, that people may have not been coming to you because of what's on your face. And they may be backing off and misreading you, and you've now made that part of your history. So I think overall, even taken out of acting, the information that you have can just open a door to just better understanding and maybe feeling belonging again. Belonging in a way, you're just reading it wrong. And Jessica Rabbit said, I'm not bad, I was just drawn this way. Okay. Well, did you learn about you? What's your biggest takeaway?
One of my favorite takeaways from this is the fact that I can now, I have a tool to work with in terms of like how to be a more effective storyteller on camera. Because before I took this class and before I knew about this class, I was not happy with my footage. And a lot of that was because of all the extra information that was, happening on my face, with the worry,
Right.
and just the idea that I can actually practice something at home and have a clearer picture, I have a clearer expression,
Right.
Makes me feel really empowered and really excited.
Cool.
So,
Cool. Very cool.
I appreciate that.
Think of that in one that we didn't talk to, we haven't talked about it, but not, is defining your quality. What's on, when you're on your game, feeling good, you probably have a certain kind of sense of humor. What kind of sense of humor is it? Is it dry? Is it sarcastic? Is it playful? Now, if you take that, you can find a reaction to that. And in one look, you can give the viewer your personality. So when you're thinking of headshots, thinking of the different qualities that you have. Now they're different, and everybody says be yourself, but now here's the thing, you have many selves.
Yeah.
So what I want to share with you is think of the self you are when you're on your game. Think of the self you are when you are in a leadership position. Think of who you bring to the party when you're with family. Do you change your personality at all? Do you become a leader? But we're looking to find the difference, not the similarity. What do you do differently? With the family, I turn into, a giddy little kid, or I get a little bit more helpless, or I get whatever it might be. So that's another personality. And you know this. You know the behavior to it. You know how to react from that. You know the things that are triggered. So these are different characters that you could easily play. Think of how you are in a romantic situation. You probably behave differently than you do in, a peer relationship. Especially a sexual relationship. How do you play in that? That's another kind of character. You might even think of how you are in a religious setting. Now, to define those differences, because your personality or quality, as I defined it, is not just what you do, it's the way you do it. That defines a quality. What you do defines a character. So if what you do and the way you do it defines quality and what you do defines character, then your qualities are your characters that you can immediately aspire to. You know them inside and out. The other ones you're going to have to fake until you've done the research and connect it. The history is that close to you. So think if you can turn them to break it down into emotion or different messages. If you are a warm, friendly, compassionate person, there's going to be maybe a little sad and a little happy together there. If you are a wide-eyed, innocent, person, then it might be that wide-eyed, a little wide-eyed and happy. Contempt, a little playful, a little questioning, playfully sarcastic. So think of how, if you can break down those qualities in something, dress it, all the other nonverbals that say who it is. So that will help you to, you have all the tools right now to define it. You just now got to explore it and put it into that.
Well, and then once again, just that this tool set, if you want to put it that way, allows us to translate what we hoped was what we were showing. Like, we may really feel it. We may be in that moment. We may feel the character. We may feel all the things. But once again, if it's not being perceived correctly, like in that first batch that we did, that's very frustrating as an actor, because you want to be able to deliver a great performance. You want to do the character justice. You want to be doing what you're meant to do. And these tools really help you get much closer to being able to. Because if you just wonder, all right, well, I feel it, but it's not showing. What can I do about that? Well, now there's some tools to do that.
Good.
There's something about the 7 universal emotions, that just knowing them once again gives you this confidence that is not so random. Otherwise, it's, catch as catch can with just sort of any training you have and any innate sort of skill set you might have. But this is a system that allows you to know what you're doing, have confidence in it, and be able to express it and know that what you're sort of aiming for will be translated and that the audience will get it. So I really like that. That's one thing that's really amazing. Another thing is this whole freeze, assess, respond. I think that's really valuable because that's also something that kind of can randomly happy choice moments or whatever as an actor, but actually keeping it in mind as a mantra and trying to kind of make it naturally part of your whole repertoire will be very useful. The whole system of using your natural pre-programmed physiology and muscle groups and muscle activation, plus your thoughts and phrases, plus sounds, is really fantastic because you're using what you already have, but using it in a sort of scientific way, if you want to put it that way, to produce a result that you can count on. I think that's fantastic, and it's a lot that we can play with, and it covers sort of everything. So that's really helpful as well. And what you said about me, I think it was a real aha for me as well, is that having gone from stage acting and training to film and television, I thought that you had to be unbelievably still and calm and small, and that accounted for some of the reason why I was kind of so contained yesterday. And what I realized is I don't need to be so, it liberated me. And that's what you saw today, I suppose, is I was like, okay, I can still be me. I can still bring all these things that I used to bring to stage. I just have to I have a system now that I can kind of bring it into, and I can use it sort of more moderation. It can be like in between, a medium path or something like that. That is much more useful to me and my career, and hopefully everyone, and being too wedded to specific ideas of how you're supposed to show up on the camera.
Right. Well, we're walking away with one word I think that's really powerful: appropriate.
Right.
Appropriate. That's the key thing. Appropriate. Appropriate for the tone, appropriate for the style, appropriate for the character, appropriate for the situation.
Right.
It's all what's appropriate. And if it's done with the correct timing, intensity, then the inappropriate means that either the trigger's too hot or it's not hot enough. And so, but if it has the correct timing, intensity, it's coming out something, then it's just a choice now. It makes sense, but it's not appropriate.
That was very helpful when I saw that, because I thought all these casting directors and directors would say, well, you're not real. You're not being real.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, I was.
Right.
And
That's the killer. That's your self-esteem right there, though.
Yeah.
They're saying you're not real. And you go, well, how can I not be real? Now, you cannot be real because you didn't put enough detail to the action. That doesn't make you not real, makes you not a really skilled actor for that part. You needed to bring more detail to it. That is one thing.
Right.
But if I had all that and I had my reaction and it was too big, that's just being inappropriate.
Right.
And so we want to save ourselves in that, taking that away. Next time you hear any of that kind of stuff, you got to take it into context. This is what they're really saying. You're not being appropriate. And then you're not going to stimulate your whole system. Going, I'm not real. I thought I was real. I was. And I'm bad and for something like that. And that makes us feel, believe it or not, ashamed.
Yeah.
And that's deeper than just not being a good actor. It's, I know I should be. And you don't like me. I feel ousted from the group of actors. And that's devastating.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen. So just kind of put it into perspective. I like what Dave was saying too. It's like now, if you think about it, you had all the ingredients, all the pots, all the pans. Like walk in the kitchen with you got this high-end tech, so many tools in the kitchen. But if you don't know how to use them, they're just taking up space. Now, look into it. Oh, how can I use this? That's what I want to leave you on that. I didn't give you all the answers. Now it's like, how can I play with it? How can you play with these 8 notes? What melodies can you make out of them?
It's totally free. So I took your seminar last summer, or last fall, whenever that was. And my holdbacks were for anger and sadness. I mean, there was nothing there. So that was very interesting. So now, after getting the tools and playing with that, you do get that freedom that you were referring to. But you also get to be a better communicator. And so then you have more fun in the conversation because you get to more interesting conversations because you're putting more into it. You know, so it's like getting to another level of conversation where, and like you were talking about reading faces, you know, I become more aware of that, and I learn a lot by, I've always learned a lot by watching people, but more of their body language than their faces. And so that was probably very telling of how I wasn't using mine. You know, so I wasn't really observing their faces.
Right.
So it's created an awful lot of fun for me, which has given me the confidence and the clarity that you were referring to, because I feel such a freedom at this point. And it has allowed me a more generous flow of energy, you know, which plays also in other arenas. But I do think that if you don't have the emotional outlet through your expressions, everything, that's not only stilted, I think everything is.
Yeah,
Does that
especially the tone of voice. You know, if you're not moving anything, odds are your tone is in one place.
Right.
You know, you get that monotone, and it, you know, just goes on and on and on. And yeah, you don't get those lows as highs as lows as, you know, you get louder and harder, but you don't get melodic. You know, so which is, you know, when you listen to good actors, you tend to hear that's not all in one pitch. Except for the actors that are just one, you know, and they become good at one thing, and that's what they do. And if not, don't try to put them in something else.
The other thing that I found very helpful was the use of the mirror, because you know, I don't have a lot of formal training in the acting. I've kind of backed into it all, and in the beginning, I was instructed to not use a mirror, and so. You know, I had really no idea what was coming out there, you know.
Right.
The mirror is very helpful because, like you were talking, I got diddly squat, you know. So, hey, here we are. You know?
Do you think that, you know, we don't want you to play a result. So that's why you don't want it, if you're on the train, play for the mirror, because you're trying to play for a result. But let's get past that now and go, we're just checking to make sure what we're communicating, because I'm creating over here, I'm checking in over there, just to make sure. So that's just a little bit different than...
To see if it reads.
Yeah.
Right.
Now here's the thing, before, you may have done something in the mirror and go, oh, that's right on for my read. But now if you think about the feeling you had when you went in, you went, did I do it? Was it there? You know, it was so good at home in the mirror. But nothing happened out there because the mirror was guiding you to the expression, but you couldn't recreate that.
For me, you know, first of all, film is a story of moments, and part of the issue with film is you may be shooting the end the first day,
Right.
and the tools here, instead of the idea of you've got to be sad, which is who knows what, or whether you're hitting it. It's kind of, for me, I look at it almost as sort of a blocking tool. Just the same as somebody would say, come in, sit down, do this, pick up the coffee. Well, now I can do the same with my face and emotions, and I can have that going in there and know that it's working, and I can hit those moments when necessary in a very objective way without worrying about is it happening or not?
Right.
Because I know from the way I'm feeling these certain muscles, and now I'm experiencing it. I know it's there, that sort of thing. And the way things are now on film, the advantage is if you're not, even if you're shooting on film now, 35 millimeter, there's usually always a camera standing by for a video camera for the feedback. So whether you're shooting an independent film on an HD camera, they can shoot the scene and go, okay, let me see how that was. What are you talking about? Let's play it back and say, okay, so maybe here I need to be a little this, less this, or something like that. Or maybe you want to build here or something like that. So it can become this very objective thing, and then you can sort of step into it and then live it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like music. It's the same thing, you know,
Right.
but you're not going to be thinking about why you're doing it.
Right.
But now it's triggered a thought. And the thought is, we don't plan our face. We plan the trigger. And loud, because you've been working, you know if I hit that trigger, I'm going to respond to it. So we don't go in and go, I'm going to do a sad face here or something like that. So I want to be, I'm sure everybody's clear about it, but I want to say it out loud. We don't plot it out by faces, we plot it out by triggers. They say that. That's worthy of response. How do I feel about that? That pissed me off. Okay. I'm not going to go, there's an angry face. No, I'm going to hear it and allow that to trigger the anger in me. And because I know what it feels like in my body, and I know the change in my face, I know I'm there. So it's always out there. It starts there, and then it moves through the channels on that. So if you're going to do a reaction, it's the same thing. Once you did all the work on it, you go, okay, now I'm going to set it up so the trigger happens, so I get the response I want. Now going in, it is like blocking out your actions, blocking out your reactions, or what's worthy of a reaction. And so you do all the homework. But you know that with some things, like an action, takes more effort because you got to do something with the correct timing. So you just can't, you got 12 drawers you got to look, but you got to look at it in a specific order. And you have a reaction on certain drawers. And you know that, the director wants that. Well, that's got to be worked out. Don't expect yourself, I can do it right off the spot. It's got to, because it's not, you're creating this. So it's, sometimes don't expect us to get it off the bat. I got that reaction, Smith, but I need it quicker. And that means that you haven't brought the history close enough to you in order for that response to come.